Hi, I am Joe Wall, and I am one half of the Wall art group. Making this film to take a second and try and explain my work, I guess. uh, I think a lot about like natural forces while I'm working. I think is the best way to describe it. I think about composition and I think about the visual representation. I always try and keep that in mind, but I find with my work it almost seems like the different elements are competing to be part of the composition. I do think a lot about natural forces. I think about things like erosion. I think about transfers of energy. I think about sedimentation. I think about just how things evolve and how things change and how planets smashing into each other. I don't know. I listen to a lot of science podcasts. I listen to like Scientific America and Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, that type of thing. I work outside generally, especially when I'm working on the abstracts, because I feel cooped up when I'm inside, and I feel when I'm outside it's like I am in the open air, and I am it just seems right, it feels right. I work at night a lot, which probably drives my neighbors crazy, especially when I was doing the Man-Made series. I did a lot of nailing and sawing and sanding, but generally I'm not that loud. I listen to my podcast and I do my thing, and I enjoy it. Sometimes I feel like I'm fighting with them, and other times I feel like it's just all love, and you try your best and you mold them, and because I work kind of loosely, and I work with things like sedimentation, and I use a lot of like texturizing, and I use a lot of sculptural elements, and I try and make the paint interact with the sculptural elements, and so sometimes they kind of take on a mind of their own, but I'm constantly pushing them and prodding them and planning, and occasionally I'll be painting and I'll be like, yeah, I just can't figure out how to get a piece of paint into this one area. And my girlfriend will say, why don't you use a brush? And I think, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I use a lot of palette knives. I use my fingers a lot. But occasionally I do use a brush. I use sponge brushes. I use all different types of paint. I like to experiment a lot with paints. I think, especially with the metallics, it's some of them have different lusters, and some of them look more metallic, some of them look more shiny, and some of them... So, I experiment with layering them in different ways and trying to get the effects that I like. My sister does a lot of the neo-folk. I dive into it myself occasionally. She's very talented. She's developed a style all of her own. She builds up a lot of layers. We've kind of morphed, or we've kind of grown together and done our own thing, but you can tell that we influence each other, by the styles and the textures, and but it's good. It's good to have somebody to work with, And even though she's in Michigan and I'm in Florida, it's kind of a new decade type situation with the internet and sending files, and I do most of the Photoshop work. She does a lot of the marketing. She does like her Facebook and her Twitter and all that. But it's good. It's a good experience. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the artwork. Hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah.